It was a day of heavy rain and even some flash flooding in mid-Missouri. And there's more rain on its way. Good evening, I'm Jalen Henderson.
And I'm Emily Spain. Thanks for joining us. We have team coverage tonight with reporters in Moberly and Columbia, plus forecast details from Chief Meteorologist Ken Jewicki. We'll start off with KOMU 8's Jalen Johnson in Moberly, where parts of the city were underwater earlier this afternoon. I'm live at the Moberly Fire Department, where teams spent all day responding not to fires, but to high floodwaters. I spent most of the day out at Rothwell Park, where it looked more like a lake. Roads getting into and out of the park were underwater. Since then, the water has gone back down. Fire crews responded to a water rescue earlier today. We got viewer video of the incident. You can see the firefighters pulled someone out of a truck right before it went underwater. I talked with someone who witnessed the rescue, and he told me he was impressed with the way the firefighters responded. I talked to the Moberly Fire Chief earlier, and he advises everyone to not go through waters at any cost, even if you think it's really shallow. Live in Moberly, Jalen Johnson, KOMU 8 News.
Moberly residents got most of the rain today, about 3 to 4 inches, but they're not the only ones who got soaked. Columbia saw about an inch of rain. KOMU 8's Sanaa Moore is live to tell us why neighbors here are glad we didn't see more than that.
I'm here on the southwest side of Columbia, and right now it's not raining, but earlier it did rain, and I wish I would have worn my rain jacket. And Kenton says we could see more rain later on tonight. It's roads like this one with big dips that end up collecting water that covers the street. Neighbors who live nearby say they're glad we didn't see any major flooding. One woman says if it had been worse, it would have impacted her entire day.
The only way to get to the main road, Nifong, from my house, is to go through that divot. But once it starts to rain, it'll accumulate, and we can't pass through there, so I'll have to go through K, which takes like a long time. It adds like 10 minutes to my commute.
Remember to think twice before walking or driving across water. And according to MoDOT, 2 feet of water can float your car, and 6 inches can knock you right off your feet. Live in Columbia, Sanaa Moore, KOMU 8 News.
Good reminders there. We'll send it over now to Chief Meteorologist Ken Jewicki. He's been a busy guy today. After a more mild evening, more rain is headed this way. Hey, Kenton.
Hey, Emily, thank you very much. Take a look at how much rain we've seen across mid-Missouri. Again, that heaviest line of showers and thunderstorms earlier this morning, that's definitely here for areas from Marshall to Moberly, seeing again 3, 4, maybe even more inches of rainfall in those heavier pockets. Even Paris over here in Monroe County seeing about 4 inches, about an inch though in Columbia, some along I-70 though about an inch and a half, lesser as you head down towards the south. And if we look at live Doppler first alert radar right now, we still have showers pushing through the area, again much lighter than we had earlier. We're expecting more heavy rainfall as some of this moisture from Oklahoma arrives. That's going to be late tonight and early tomorrow morning, closer to about 3 a.m., 4 a.m. here. But this time, it's going to be positioned farther to the south. That's where the heaviest rain is going to be next time around. Temperatures actually warming up as a warm front pushes through the area. It's 50 right now in Columbia, 57 in Versailles, 60 almost at Lake of the Ozarks this hour, 9 o'clock p.m. Otherwise, we're at 10-mile-an-hour winds right now in Columbia. So luckily, those are also calming a bit. Not expecting as much wind tomorrow. But again, we are expecting more heavy rains tomorrow, and some flooding is also going to be a potential. I'm tracking that, and I'll tell you where coming up later.
All right, Kenton, thank you very much. Moving on this evening, the U.S. ordered 60 Russian diplomats and intelligence officers off of American soil earlier today. The order comes as a punishment for using a deadly chemical agent against a former spy in Great Britain. The diplomats have 7 days to leave the U.S. One spokesman from the Trump administration says the decision was necessary.
Today's actions make the United States safer by reducing Russia's ability to spy on Americans.
President Trump has not yet personally weighed in on the order. The U.S. isn't alone in kicking out Russian diplomats. Right now, 18 countries are on the list, but more are expected to follow. European Union countries, Canada and Ukraine have expelled more than 100 Russian diplomats. Almost all of the countries said publicly the Russian diplomats they were expelling were actually spies.
Governor Eric Greitens' request that a judge, not a jury, rule on his criminal case was rejected today. The St. Louis Post-Dispatch reports a circuit judge denied the request. Greitens was indicted in February on felony invasion of privacy charges. He is accused of taking an unauthorized photo of a woman he had an affair with in 2015, prior to his election. Greitens admitted to the affair but has denied any allegations of blackmail. His trial is set for May 14th. Anheuser-Busch heir William Busch received a citation for assault after intervening in a disagreement between his son and one of his classmates at a basketball practice. Police say that 58-year-old Bush allegedly grabbed an 11-year-old and pushed him into a wall in November. St. Louis Post-Dispatch reports other adults separated Bush and the child, but the child was not injured. Bush got a summons for a fourth-degree assault, a municipal ordinance violation.
Police are looking for a shooter after gunfire damaged a car in northeast Columbia this afternoon. Officers say a Ford Fusion was traveling on Shamrock Drive when another vehicle came up to it, and someone in that second car opened fire. 2 people were inside the Ford at the time, but neither were hurt. One neighbor says she heard 3 or 4 shots. She's thankful the weather was gloomy today when the shots were fired.
There's a lot of children out here. My granddaughter and other children is out here on the front playing on their bikes. Thank God the weather was cold out here and rainy, because otherwise the children would have been out.
Police have yet to identify a suspect.
$30 million is what Columbia Public Schools says it needs to fund school renovations. But that money wouldn't come from taxpayers' pockets. Instead, it would be from a bond issue, which is like a loan for school districts. The bond would go toward building additions, building improvements, and enhanced safety and security measures. It's one of 6 bonds the board has asked voters to approve in the past 8 years.
This is completing essentially the school district's 10-year plan on infrastructure improvements surrounding the school district.
With the newest bond, $5 million of it would go to a new middle school off of Sinclair Road. The vote is next Tuesday and needs 57% to pass. More than 900 people who live in Columbia's El Chaparro neighborhood will have to vote in a new location for the upcoming general election on April 3rd. They will now have to go to vote at the Crossing Church, 5 miles away from their houses. Boone County Clerk Taylor Berg says the previous polling location at the American Legion Hall reached its maximum capacity. One voter is concerned some people will not be able to get to the new polling place.
I see people walking down WW going to work, because obviously they don't have transportation that is readily available to them in some situations.
Burke said people who need transportation to polling places can request assistance by calling the county clerk's office. The decision many Mizzou fans have been anticipating has come.
Yeah, Michael Porter Jr. announced in an Instagram post today he will declare for the NBA draft. KOMU 8's Chris Trevino joins us now with a look at what's ahead for Michael Porter Jr. And we've been thinking about this for a while now.
We have, Emily and Jalen. Nice to be with both of you. And it was nice to have Michael Porter Jr. here for a while he was, but now he's on to the NBA and certainly what he hopes, big money. Porter is expected to be a high pick in the June draft, perhaps taken as early as the top 5 selections. The big question is how comfortable teams will be with Porter's back. MPJ missed all but 3 games of the season and had back surgery in November. If teams believe he's healthy and ready to go, it's possible he could be taken among the top 5 players. In fact, NBC Sports currently projects Porter to go 5th overall to the Memphis Grizzlies. We will have more on Porter Jr.'s decision to go pro later in sports.
Coming up, how 2 Boone County linemen helped bring 160,000 feet of electric line to Africa.
Plus, one officer makes a cross-state trip to honor first responders.
Welcome back to KOMU News at 9 o'clock. Here is a look at our live .3 First Alert radar out there. Of course, we have some rainfall continuing to pass through the area. Light, a little bit of a bit more rain up there in Sheraton County. They are still seeing some moderate rainfall. They've seen a lot today. Probably one of the counties that's seen the most rain throughout the area. Now, satellite and radar, of course, you can see it's not over. All this moisture over towards Oklahoma, Texas. That's heading our direction. It's going to be overspread throughout the area for our day tomorrow. Now, we also have this warm front that's slowly starting to push up. That's why we have warmer temperatures starting to roll through the area, actually warming throughout our night tonight in the 40s earlier. Now we're already in the 50s for the most part. So looking at our weathercast hour by hour, here's 11 p.m. You can see heavy showers and thunderstorms along I-44, and that's really where the heaviest rainfall is going to be situated over the next 24 hours, closer to Interstate 44, 2 hours south. So most of us will just be seeing general lighter showers here, but the heaviest rain there to our south. So that was 6 a.m. Then we head closer to noon tomorrow, still just showers out there, some moderate showers, but you can see it's fairly widespread. So a lot of us seeing rain more often than not. Then 4 p.m., still more rain, but one thing you've probably noticed already is a lot of our northwestern viewing area. Everyone that saw the rain today, They're not going to be seeing much tomorrow. A lot of cloud cover, some sprinkles every now and then, but for the most part, they're not seeing much of rain showers on our Tuesday. So that's great news for them. They definitely saw the most of it today. 9:30 p.m. on Tuesday here in about 24 hours. That's starting to slowly push out of the area. Some sprinkles here at 7 a.m. on Wednesday, but we'll start to see some sunshine try to poke through those clouds on Tuesday afternoon. That will be a welcome for a lot of folks who are sick of this rain and this cloud cover that we've been seeing. Now, if we look at our raincast, this is how much more rain we're expecting across the area. This graphic just updating here. We're looking at about a half an inch here for a lot of us. I do think, though, as you head closer to Interstate 44, some of these areas could see some of those heavier pockets. Jefferson City and areas south could get closer to an inch of extra rainfall accumulation over the next 24, 36 hours. So for flooding, we still have these warnings. Aerial flood warnings, meaning that there are still roads that are completely covered with water for this entire line here that saw the heaviest rain today. Now down here to the south, these are watches, aerial flood watches in effect for the heavy rain that is expected tomorrow, again closer to the Interstate 44 corridor. So because of all of that, we're still going to be in a storm mode 1 for our day tomorrow, and again, that's mainly going to be due to flooding. Could see some hail mixed in with some of those thunderstorms, but for the most part, we're just worried about that heavy rain every now and then, and sustained constant rain as well can do about the same thing. 52 degrees, though. That's not the low temperature tonight, but that's where we're likely going to be around sunrise tomorrow morning. Again, warmer temperatures here overnight. Then tomorrow, we're actually down into the middle 40s. Tomorrow afternoon, it's going to be a bit of a cooling day for us with the cold front pushing through the area. Then, the next couple days after that, we are drier, seeing some sunshine start to poke through the clouds here on Wednesday, 55 there, 52 then on Thursday, heading into Friday, still in the middle 50s, heading into Easter weekend, more rain chances over Easter weekend. Not quite sold on that yet. We'll keep you updated on that new system as it approaches later this week.
A 5,000-mile flight, but not to paradise. Find out how two Boone County linemen spent their vacation time.
Welcome back. Most people go to the beach, a big city, or somewhere exotic for their vacations. Well, two linemen from Boone Electric Cooperative chose to travel somewhere they could make a difference. Foreman Jason Tolson and lineman Jeremy Wooden went to West Africa to help bring power to a small rural town in Liberia. KOMU 8's Pat Mueller tells us how the duo donated 3 weeks of their vacation time to make electricity the norm, not a luxury, for this community.
In Totota, Liberia, people rely on dry cell batteries, lanterns, and candles for their power and light. These Boone Electric Co-op workers trekked more than 5,000 miles to bring power to this area. Now that doesn't mean providing TVs, washers, and dryers. It's more simple than that, but still very powerful.
I think most of the people were excited that they could see at night, because now when the sun goes down, it's dark.
Take that stuff for granted. I mean, flipping a light switch on in the middle of the night, that doesn't happen over there.
The volunteer opportunity came from the National Rural Electric Cooperative Association. With that group's help, the pair helped install 19,000 feet of electric line and 140 utility poles. The guys enjoyed showing the locals the ropes.
Or they've never built any kind of electrical structures. They've never hung any wire. So it was neat.
Since Liberia is so close to the equator, solar power is the way to go. Once the project is complete, 400 homes in Totota will have power. Unfortunately, the crew wasn't there to see the lights come on. Still, the locals appreciated their hard work.
I think we created a friendship, and they were actually sad to see us go, because then they had to do everything that we tried to teach them. They were pretty much on their own.
A day off is nice, but bringing a basic utility to people who need it is very rewarding. Reporting in Columbia, Pat Mueller, KOMU 8 News.
Boone Electric Co-op says they try to send a few linemen on service trips like this every year. The NRECA has helped millions of people in more than 43 countries get power.
A Missouri officer is running 260 miles to honor fellow first responders who died in the line of duty. Keegan Hughes started his run in St. Louis and will cross the state to Kansas City. And despite the heavy rains and thunderstorms, he kept running, but from the safety of a gym. Hughes and his team were in Jefferson City today, honoring the fallen Missouri Highway Patrol James Baba, who died in 2015. An honor that Hughes says touches close to home.
My cousin Brian Montgomery is a Missouri State Trooper, and he went to the police to the academy with James Baba, so it was just kind of a personal connection there.
Hughes and Project Remember are also raising funds to help the families of fallen responders. And if you head to KOMU.com, you will find links to donate and to follow Hughes' run on Project Remember's Facebook page. The U.S. military says Afghan pilots will be flying missions in U.S. Black Hawk helicopters. American pilots have been flying the choppers in Afghanistan for years. Afghan trainees are in the final stage of instruction from U.S. advisors. Major Ted Rogers said the process is helping Afghanistan's military learn newer equipment.
So what we're doing is we're giving the Afghan Air Force a sustainable, very highly capable, and battle-proven helicopter that they can take forward into the fight as they continue to safeguard their country.
The transfer is part of broader plans for expanding the Air Force in Afghanistan. The U.S. is spending over $800 million during a 7-year effort.
Michael Porter Jr. is headed to the NBA.
But what does that mean for Mizzou basketball next season? That's next in sports.
Now, from the Ford Sports Desk, KOMU 8 Sports.
Hello, everyone. Missouri basketball player Michael Porter Jr. will go pro. He announced today he will enter the upcoming NBA draft. Porter played in just 3 games for Missouri, a total of 53 minutes. He averaged 10 points and almost 7 rebounds. The Tigers will lose one of the most heralded players ever to sign with the program. But on the court this season, Missouri managed to win 20 games and make the NCAA tournament without Porter playing. The team is losing a couple of key contributors, and Cassius Robertson and Jordan Barnett. The next question becomes, what will Michael Porter's younger brother John Tay do? Will he declare for the draft as well? The deadline to do so is in about a month in late April. Many kids grow up with pro athletes as role models, but KOMU 8's Daniel Esteve tells us for the 3rd grade girls basketball team in Vandalia, their inspiration is a collegiate player close to home.
They may be little, but the 3rd grade Vandalia girls basketball team plays tough, due in part to one very special inspiration.
Whenever, either we see basketball on TV or we go to her games, I just pick up on what she's doing sometimes. She does really amazing moves, and that inspires me to do those moves, to practice at home to do those moves.
68 miles from Van Far High School is Mizzou Arena.
Some of our girls decided to go to one of the MU women's basketball games, and they were just so excited. It was such an amazing atmosphere, and they just fell in love with the team.
In a home matchup against Arkansas on January 21st, Sophie took to the floor, but before game time, she met 3 of her biggest fans.
We had a shirt that says Sophie's my homegirl. We got to give her a high five and everybody when they walked to the lockers.
Just the fact that people are wearing my name with my number just means so much. It's very humbling. The fact that they did this is really, it kind of gets me kind of emotional sometimes because it's so fun, because this was us when we were little.
Sophie greeted her fans, then casually went for a cool 22 points in a win over the Razorbacks. Her performance on the court was certainly felt, but the impression she left would stay long after she left the floor.
I think it's great that these girls have role models that are female athletes in a community that they can look up to. As a mother and as a coach, I appreciate it, and I hope that they understand that it does mean something to these girls.
Now, after a 1-loss season, the Vandalia girls are strutting their own Tiger style, just like their heroes in Columbia. Daniel Esteve, KOMU 8 Sports, Vandalia.
Thank you, Daniel. And that's sports.
Thank you, Chris. Moving on, there are some unlikely contestants in this year's Final Four.
But that hasn't stopped a special sale for one school's figure. Now here's a look at what we're following on KOMU 8 News at 10. How 2 mid-Missouri moms use social media to create a local phenomenon.
We're talking turkeys, if you can believe it. That's coming up tonight at 10. Kenton.
You can take a look at our live Top 3 First Alert radar. We have more showers continuing to push through the area. Of course, that's going to continue all night long, but that heavy rainfall is likely going to be pushed a little bit farther off to our south. 52, though, at sunrise and cooling throughout the day. 45 there tomorrow afternoon. Again, more rain.
A top-selling bobblehead belongs to the figurehead of an unlikely school in this year's NCAA Final Four. Meet Loyola Chicago sisters Jean Dolores Schmidt. Her bobblehead has been in heavy demand. More than 5,000 bobbleheads sold in the first 48 hours of sales. A portion of the proceeds from each sale will benefit Loyola Athletic Fund and the Sisters of Charity and the Blessed Virgin Mary. March Madness indeed.
Sure thing. Chris, did you order one?
Yeah.
I haven't, but I just might. I'll tell you, that's hard to refuse. Sister
Just have it in the sports office.
Yeah. That'd be good. That'd be good. Be a lot better than
Go into a good cause.
Let me tell you.